112 years ago, the UP Board of Regents had a vision to develop their true firstborn college that will spearhead national development through agriculture. At the foot of Mount Makiling, Edwin B. Copeland, together with 7 faculty and 12 students, embarked on the journey to create the UP College of Agriculture, or UPCA. Through its 112 years of existence, the college has produced over 1,000 technologies and variety of plants and animals, 9 national scientists, over 30 outstanding young scientists, and more than 18,000 graduates contributing to agricultural development. UPCA, now College of Agriculture and Food Science, or CAFS, has been continuously contributing to nation building through its instruction, research, and extension function. A mere 10 years after establishment, the college was able to start breeding works with the production of sugarcane varieties with high productivity and resistance to Fiji and mosaic disease. In the 1920s, the importance of agriculture was intensified and UPCA was recognized as neighboring countries began sending their students to Los Banos because of the high quality of education. In the 1930s, breeds with superior characteristics such as the Burke Halipig, Los Banos Cantonese chicken, and Philippine cattle were developed. The 1960s was a fruitful decade for research. Makapuno, a coconut cultivar often made into a dessert, was pioneered and perfected. Meanwhile, the Dairy Training and Research Institute was the first in the country to freeze buffalo semen, paving the way for artificial insemination of local carabaos. Along with the establishment of UPLB in the 70s, the college received the prestigious Ramon Magsaysay Award for International Understanding, Asia's counterpart for the Nobel Peace Prize. In the same decade, the C4 plants were developed. The soil test kits were produced in support of the Masagana 99 program, and the mango induction technique was introduced. Continuing the production of quality research outputs in the 1980s, techniques to minimize post-harvest losses, the accelerated fish sauce manufacturing process, and the rapid test kit for the detection of pesticide residue on vegetables were developed. The 1990s saw many new varieties across species or crop types, including Sinta Papaya, the first Philippine-bred hybrid, UPLB Gold, a durian variety, and Doña Amelita, a musaenda named after the wife of former President Fidel Ramos. The award-winning National Corn-Based Farmer Scientist RDE Training Program, or FSTP, was also established around this time and still remains as one of the university's primary extension programs. In the field of instruction, the book titled Integrating Sustainable Agriculture in the BSA Curriculum, the UPLB College of Agriculture Experience, was published in 1999. At present, the College of Agriculture and Food Science, or CAFS, continues to be the premier institution of higher learning in agriculture and food science, and remains committed to nation building through its instruction, research, and extension programs. In order to produce the best graduates, all of our courses are outcomes-based education, and continuous improvement of the curriculum is being practiced to meet the challenges of the 21st century. As testament of excellence, CAPS is constantly recognized by different organizations. In research, we continue to implement relevant studies with focus on the 12 priority commodities to address food security. Moreover, technologies are constantly developed to aid in responsible food production. Supplementing these are extension activities to disseminate the knowledge generated to improve food productivity and livelihood of the people. We believe that present technologies will future-proof our food systems. Some of our notable developments are IDTech, KABUTEhan, Plant Health and Pest Clinic, Pest Management Tools and Techniques, Smarter Pest Identification Technology or SpeedTech, Snap Hydroponics, Drone Technology, Rapid Immunofilter Assay for Virus Indexing, Nanofertilizers Fertigrow, Hormogrow, Nanobiosensors, and Biochar. We at the College of Agriculture and Food Science will continue to promote and nurture a culture with innovative yet conscientious minds and cutting-edge skills to lead and serve the country and the region. We are one college with one goal towards sustainable food systems. A 112 years ago, the UP Board of Regents had a vision to develop their true firstborn college that will spearhead national development through agriculture. At the foot of Mount Makiling, Edwin B. Copeland, together with 7 faculty and 12 students, embarked on the journey to create the UP College of Agriculture, or UPCA. Through its 112 years of existence, the college has produced over 1,000 technologies and variety of plants and animals, 9 national scientists, over 30 outstanding young scientists, and more than 18,000 graduates contributing to agricultural development. UPCA, now College of Agriculture and Food Science, or CAFS, has been continuously contributing to nation building through its instruction, research, and extension function. A mere 10 years after establishment, the college was able to start breeding works with the production of sugarcane varieties with high productivity and resistance to Fiji and mosaic disease. In the 1920s, the importance of agriculture was intensified and UPCA was recognized as neighboring countries began sending their students to Los Banos because of the high quality of education. In the 1930s, breeds with superior characteristics such as the Burkhala pig, Los Banos Cantonese chicken, and Philippine cattle were developed. The 1960s was a fruitful decade for research. Makapuno, a coconut cultivar often made into a dessert, was pioneered and perfected. Meanwhile, the Dairy Training and Research Institute was the first in the country to freeze buffalo semen, paving the way for artificial insemination of local carabaos. Along with the establishment of UPLB in the 70s, the college received the prestigious Ramon Magsaysay Award for International Understanding, Asia's counterpart for the Nobel Peace Prize. In the same decade, the C4 plants were developed. The soil test kits were produced in support of the Masagana 99 program, and the mango induction technique was introduced. Continuing the production of quality research outputs in the 1980s, techniques to minimize post-harvest losses, the accelerated fish sauce manufacturing process, and the rapid test kit for the detection of pesticide residue on vegetables were developed. The 1990s saw many new varieties across species or crop types, including Sinta Papaya, the first Philippine-bred hybrid, UPLB Gold, a durian variety, and Doña Amelita, a musaenda named after the wife of former President Fidel Ramos. The award-winning National Corn-Based Farmer Scientist RDE Training Program, or FSTP, was also established around this time and still remains as one of the university's primary extension programs. In the field of instruction, the book titled Integrating Sustainable Agriculture in the BSA Curriculum, the UPLB College of Agriculture Experience, was published in 1999. At present, the College of Agriculture and Food Science, or CAFS, continues to be the premier institution of higher learning in agriculture and food science and remains committed to nation building through its instruction, research, and extension programs. In order to produce the best graduates, all of our courses are outcomes-based education, and continuous improvement of the curriculum is being practiced to meet the challenges of the 21st century. As testament of excellence, CAFS is constantly recognized by different organizations. In research, we continue to implement relevant studies with focus on the 12 priority commodities to address food security. Moreover, technologies are constantly developed to aid in responsible food production. Supplementing these are extension activities to disseminate the knowledge generated to improve food productivity and livelihood of the people. We believe that present technologies will future-proof our food systems. Some of our notable developments are iDetect, Coraginan, Plant Health and Pest Clinic, Pest Management Tools and Techniques, Smarter Pest Identification Technology or SpeedTech, Snap Hydroponics, Drone Technology, Rapid Immunofilter Assay for Virus Indexing, Nanofertilizers Fertigrow, Hormogrow, Nanobiosensors, and Biochar. We at the College of Agriculture and Food Science will continue to promote and nurture a culture with innovative yet conscientious minds and cutting-edge skills to lead and serve the country and the region. We are one college with one goal towards sustainable food systems.
Ayan. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Noong mga nakaraang episodes ay tumutok tayo sa mga kaalaman patungkol sa mga gulay ng pakbet, gaya ng pagtatanim, pag-ani, mga peste at pagkontrol nito, at iba pang paraan ng produksyon. Ngayon naman po ay ating pag-usapan ang isang bagong paksa na patungkol naman sa mushroom or kabute. Tayo po ay nasa AGPS Talk version 4.0 Urban Gardening Webinar Series. Ang serye po na ito ay may temang Rebooting Agriculture in the New Normal na isang programang handog ng College of Agriculture and Food Science, University of the Philippines, Los Baños. Welcome everybody and thanks for joining us in today's webinar. Ako po si Roden Carlo M. Lizardo from the Institute of Weed Science, Entomology and Plant Pathology or IWEP here at CAPS UPLB. Ang inyong host para sa programang ito. Para po sa inyong kaalaman, tayo po ay live na live via Zoom, Facebook at YouTube. I encourage everyone to let us know of your presence ngayon dito sa webinar by typing in the chat box saang probinsya po kayo nanonood ngayon o kaya naman ay saan kayo affiliated. Ayan, pakitype lamang po saan po tayo nanonood. Ayan, meron po tayong taga Kandihay, Bohol. Ayan, kamusta po kayo dyan? Ayan, meron po tayong taga Cebu. Meron po tayong taga Bukidnon. Ayan, meron po tayong taga Visayas at Mindanao. Napakalayo po na naabot ng webinar natin ngayong araw na to. Meron po tayong taga Quezon, Negros Occidental, at even Ilocos Norte. Ayan. So maraming salamat po. Bago po tayo magsimula, narito po ang ilang house rules para sa maayos na daloy ng ating programa. Kung may nais po kayong iparating, ay maaaring gamitin ang chat box. Only use the Q&A tab in Zoom for your questions. Para sa mga nanonood live sa YouTube and Facebook, you can post your questions using the comment section. Susubukan po nating sagutin ang lahat ng inyong mga katanungan bago magtapos ang ating programa. Para naman po makatanggap ng e-certificate for attending this webinar, pag-isagutan lamang ang aming evaluation form at post test gamit ang link na makikita sa inyong chat box mamaya. Bago po natin simulan ang pagtatalakay, ay nais ko munang tawagin ang aming butihing director ng IWEP na si Dr. Cheryl A. Yap para sa kanyang welcome remarks.
Hello everyone! Magandang umaga po sa lahat. I wish a warm welcome to all who are joining and watching us in Zoom, Facebook, or YouTube sa ngayong webinar na pinamagatang Gumawa ng Kabutihan. This is a great pleasure to share to everyone kung paano magpaparami ng kabute. Maraming pamamaraan ang pwedeng gawin upang magkaroon ng isang maayos at magandang kabutihan. Sa nakaraang webinar tungkol sa pagninegosyo, nabanggit na mataas ang demand sa kabute. Kaya ang webinar na ito ay mabibigyan kayo ng isang magandang tips paano ang magsimula ng kabutihan. Kaya nagpapasalamat ako sa ating resource person ngayong umaga sa pagbabahagi ng kanyang kaalaman tungkol sa mga kabute. Gayon din, nagpapasalamat ako sa ating webinar committee ng college at sa bumubuo ng committee ng Institute of Weed Science, Entomology and Plant Pathology na patuloy na ginagampanan ang kanilang hangarin na magbahagi ng kaalaman para sa ikabubuti ng sabayan ng Pilipino. Kaya sa lahat po na nakikinig ngayon, huwag po mahiyang magtanong upang madagdagan ang ating kaalaman lalo na sa paggawa ng kabutihan. Naway sa araw na ito ay may makabuting natutunan kayo. Makabuting araw sa lahat.
Yan. Maraming salamat po, Ma'am Sheng, sa inyong mensahe at walang sawang suporta para maisakatuparan ang webinar na ito. Muli, ngayong umaga dito sa ating webinar na pinamagatang Gumawa ng Kabutehan, ay matututunan ninyo kung paano ba magsimula, gumawa, at magparami ng edible mushrooms or kabute. From tissue culture preparation sa laboratorio hanggang sa paggawa ng tinatawag natin na fruiting bag kung saan aanihin ang mga lumaking kabute. Ang ating pong resource speaker ngayong umaga ay si Prof. Teresita Yu Dalisay, kasalukuyang Professor of Plant Pathology sa Institute of Weed Science, Entomology, and Plant Pathology. Isa po siyang batikang mycologist o eksperto pagdating sa fungi, mga sakit ng halaman dahil sa fungi, pagkontrol nito, pagpaparami ng fungi, at kasama na rin rito ang technical na kaalaman tungkol sa mga nakakain na mga kabute. Magbabahagi rin po ng practical na kaalaman patungkol sa produksyon ng kabute si Ms. Priscilla M. Barcial, isang university researcher dito rin sa aming institute. Si Ma'am Barcial ay maalam din po pagdating sa pagpaparami ng mga kabute, partikular na ang oyster mushroom na maaari nating ihain sa ating hapagkainan o di kaya naman ay pagkakitaan. Alam ko pong kayo ay excited na matuto, kaya naman hindi ko na po ito patatagalin pa. Narito na po ang ating mga resource speakers ngayong umaga. Simulan po natin ang paksa na ito with Ma'am Tess Dalisay.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody is safe and well in a state of healthy condition to hear our talk for this morning. So we offer you the presentation on mushroom production. The presentation is very simple, and I hope that you will have interest, hopefully in the future, to venture on mushroom production. So for this particular talk, we will concentrate on the production of the oyster mushroom. And the title of our talk is Gumawa ng KABUTEhan. Together with the presentation is Ms. Priscilla Barcial, who will be presenting a bit of the half part of this topic for this morning. Well, I'll be presenting first on the different topics that is related, of course, to production and for those technical information first about the mushroom. Okay, so the outline of presentation goes like this. The first part will be introduction. So what is a mushroom? The basic parts of a mushroom, the types of mushroom, and importantly, also to be touched is the life cycle, which is very much related on how we will go about in the production of our mushroom. The second part will be, this time we're going to be discussing and presenting only the production of the oyster mushroom. But before that, we will present to you some of the basic information of its growth habit, the morphological characteristics to differentiate it with other mushroom that we know already, and some of the growth requirements that are needed or required for a successful production of the oyster mushroom. The third part will be the start of giving you the tips or steps or methodology on how to produce the oyster mushroom. Of course, the first part will be preparation of the mother culture or the starter culture. The second phase of presentation for this part will be the spawn preparation. And the last one will be the fruit bag preparation. Okay, for the first part, which is the starter preparation, it will be touched on by yours truly, while the spawn and the fruit bag preparation will be dealt by Ms. Priscilla Barcial. Okay, so what is a mushroom? Ano ang ating konsepto ng mushroom? Or ano ang ating definition ng mushroom? Ito ay isang klase ng spore-bearing fruit body of a fungus. So let me touch on giving you some of the terminologies enclosed in this definition Just to give you an idea in very simple terms ng definition ng mushroom. I highlighted the word spore that refers to any propagative unit. So alam natin ang mushroom ay all throughout its body ay buhay. So it's composed of tissues. But to generate more of these fruit bodies, sa napakaraming spores na dinadala ng mushroom, yun ang isa kung bakit siya mabilis dumami din sa ating kapaligiran. I'm assuming you have not yet in the production aspect, but rather I'm giving you the condition of a mushroom in its own habitat. Okay, the next term is the fruiting body. So that simply immerse yung katawan ng mushroom, or we call it the thallus. Sorry for the technical terminologies, but we cannot avoid using them. And in some of the steps in the preparation of the starter spawn or even the fruiting bags, you'll be encountering the other terminologies as well that I may be presenting at the moment. So again, the fruiting body just simply refers yung katawan ng kabute or ng mushroom. Okay, so the mushroom is a fungus. It belongs to the kingdom fungi. So kumbaga meron na siya, napapailalim siya sa isang kaharian ng mga amag. The basic parts of mushroom, I refer to the basic parts because these are the three things that are always present in a mushroom. Although some mushroom will not have a long stalk or stem, but rather a short one. And other structures may be present as well to these basic parts, but we will no longer deal with those additional structures associated with the body of a mushroom. Okay, so we have the cup, or sometimes called the pileus. We have the stem or stalk, or sometimes called the stipe. So alam niyo, mga mycologists or even taxonomies will offer you a lot of terminologies, but in simple layman's term, it only means this and that. Okay, so fertile layer is simply kung saan nakalocate yung ating propagative structures, like as I mentioned, the spores. Although, yung other parts of the mushroom, sabi natin, lahat yan buhay kasi tissue siya, lahat. So not necessarily the spores can give you a very good, or can be utilized in mushroom production, but rather a part of the tissue na nakapapaloob dun sa katawan ng mushroom. Okay, so baka napapansin nyo, may mushroom na umbrella-like ang itsura. Merong mushroom na parang pamaypay. Merong mushroom na parang coralloid o yung courting corals. Okay, so typical for the shape of the mushroom is the umbrella-like. Okay, although there are mushrooms of fan shape and other shape na utilizable as edible as well as of medicinal values. Okay, so we have the cup or the pileus. Yun yung parang ang concave or conical shape na nakapatong sa stem or stipe or stalk. Okay, underneath that cup or pileus, nandun yung mga fertile layers rather. Nandun yung mga spores located. So you may be wondering, bakit ganun ang shape nun? Is it because they want to protect their spores? Although sa oyster mushroom, naka-expose yun, mamaya makikita natin. So it has no bearing on the kumbaga, gusto ng mushroom na itago niya yung spores or hindi niya itatago. It's just part of the anatomy or morphological character of the mushroom. Okay, next we have the fan-like structure. I'm sure you have already encountered also that. For example, while you probably are strolling around the forest areas, so kalimitan ay lumalabas ang mushroom pagka malamig o matag-ulan. Doon natitrigger kung ba nakikiliti yung kanyang tissue or kanyang spores to germinate and produce finally the mature structure. So for the fan-like shape of the mushroom, So likewise, we have these three basic parts. We have the stalk, yun, nasa arrow. Okay, meron tayong cap, although ang cap niya hindi yung katulad ng conical shape or umbrella shape ng cap. Then we have, of course, the presence of the fertile layer na naandun yung mga spores. So napaka-tiny nun. So to gauge if the spores are present still on an intact cap is to incubate them. And if they are ready to be ejected, you will notice very white spores lying on the ground. Okay. Okay, so now we touch on the common mushrooms. So there are two major groups, as I can probably reckon. They are the fleshy mushrooms, and this is very nicely presented in a way sa parang basket yata or tray ito, na in-arrange nila yung mga different fleshy mushrooms doon. Okay, I'm not familiar with all of them, but because probably they are not commonly associated in our production in the country. But just to have you briefed over how they look like, some are very pure na white. Meron namang off-white. Merong highly pigmented na dark brown. Merong maliit ang cap, malaki ang cap. Merong parang serrated na cap, not smoothly ang kanyang surface wall. And then meron din namang mahaba ang stem, just like the enoki that's located at the center. And meron namang napaka-bulky na stem na parang bigat-bigat. Pero kaya niya siyempre mabuhat or makapatong yung cap. Meron namang walang stalk na napakaliit, very insignificant to see, but rather they can still hold up with the bulkiness or heaviness of the cap. Okay, there are woody mushrooms as well. So kung yung fleshy mushroom, ang iniisip natin dyan, siguradong may nakakain dun sa mga yan. Okay. Ang woody mushroom ay, palagay ko, hindi natin ito makakain. Pero, hindi ibig sabihin, wala naman siyang use din. So meron mga woody mushrooms that are exhibiting or of medicinal values or purposes. So the extract of those mushroom perhaps are already studied and discovered that they can be of help to probably maybe boost the immune system, or because of its very low cholesterol can be taken as the extract, mga ganun. Ito yung na-mention na we cannot do away with knowing the life cycle of a mushroom para maintindihan natin kung bakit ba yung per activity or step in the preparation of the mother culture, the spawn, and even the fruiting bags ay itong ginagamit na parte ng mushroom. Sa alam natin ba't hindi na lang natin ilagay yung buong mushroom na yan para maka-produce tayo ng fruiting dun sa fruit bags. So importante na itong life cycle ng mushroom, although I pick up one very simple one for you without any much information, and we have this umbrella-like mushroom. We started off with that. So the mature mushroom is there. Then we mentioned that the spores are located underneath that cap rather. Okay, so yun yung mga butil-butil na nakikita ninyo na in-inject na niya. Okay, by the way, you cannot control if the environment is good for those spores to be ejected. So if ejected and the condition is favorable to germinate, mag-germinate siya pag viable. Otherwise, if the condition is not favorable for it to germinate, they will just remain dormant. But still, upon given the right condition, environmental condition, they can germinate in the long run. Okay, so the spores, just like the flowering plants, which have the seeds given the right condition, if mature already and viable, can germinate. So ganon din yung mga spores na yan. Each one, if viable, can also germinate and produce the so-called thread-like structure. o yung parang sinulid na lalabas dun sa spore. Okay, so that sinulid or threads is termed as the hypha. Okay, so hypha simply means the strand or thread-like structure produced by a germinated spore. Okay, so what's the next step in the structure that is produced? Does it stop from there? Na-germinate? Pumangit ang condition? So, hindi siya nagtuloy. Pero kung maganda ang condition, it will proceed to another formation structure, which is called the hypha. Okay, so yung hypha niyan ay probably will meet, or even an independent one can profuse and branch like so, producing the so-called mycelium. Okay, so mycelium is simply referred as a very extensive branch hypha or hyphae. Yan, so ang ganda. Kumakalat na yan, buhay na buhay. Yun na yon na parang pagka meron ka ng, pag gusto na niya, mag-produce ng maliit na mushroom, which is called the mushroom primordium, ay lalabas na yon. Okay, so as I mentioned, if not, the environment's not good for it to proceed in the formation of the mushroom primordium, doon lang siya, pero not necessarily patay siya. Okay, so the next level now, or the next line drawing will show you already the mushroom primordium. Yun, parang nakaubok pa lang siya without any presence of the stalk yet. So initially, the first part that emanates from the mushroom ay yung cap niya. No? Parang itutulak ngayon ng stem or stalk to produce or for you to see the baby mushroom. Okay, so yun yung baby mushroom. Okay, sometimes class, in between this mushroom primordium and that baby mushroom, ay may nakabalot pa rin sa kanya. And usually, they mistake that for the so-called button mushroom. So may ganung thinking na even the baby mushroom that's still within that enclosed structure or the gleba is already described as the button mushroom. Pero iba yung tinatawag talagang button mushroom. Okay, so finally, wow, kita na natin ang ganda-ganda ng line drawing ng fruit body or the mature mushroom. Okay, so every part, as I mentioned, for this mushroom is alive. So pwedeng kumuha sa cap, pwedeng kumuha sa stalk. But later on, you will see that particularly for the oyster mushroom, what is recommended rather is to get tissues that is actively growing from a certain portion of the total looks of the or body of the mushroom. Okay, so we mentioned that for this particular talk, we'll only concentrate on the oyster mushroom. Hopefully may second, third para naman sa bulbariella or sa shiitake. But at this time, due to the limited time for us, and we're very much open as well to be requested for additional lecture perhaps. Pero this time, we'll only concentrate on giving you the production of the oyster mushroom. Okay, it's but good for us to know the growth habit of the oyster mushroom. This is related on what kind of substrate, on how we will process the substrate, or how we will pack those substrate to at least simulate the growth habit of the oyster mushroom. So if you notice, this oyster mushroom grows on yung sa trunk ng punong kahoy. Okay, so if you try to describe the growth habit, the fruit bodies are saprobic. Okay, they are found growing on logs or on unhealthy or even dying trees. So yung mga kumisan, yung mga nakalatag na dead branches or or stem, makikita nyo na, may mushroom na tumubo because of their nature or yung kanilang nutritional requirement. Okay? They are commonly called or found on hardwoods. Okay, so for morphology, we will add another term. Before, when we presented the basic parts of the mushroom, we mentioned the presence of the cap, the stem, and the spores located on the fertile layer. But this time, particularly for the oyster mushroom, it is very important also to mention the presence of the gills or the so-called lamellae. Okay, it runs this particular structure. Kita niyo yung parang nagko-columns na yan. Okay, Isa is showing that. So yung mga yan, tinatawag na gills or lamellae. Okay, running down from the cap down to a little bit the topmost portion of the stem. Can be gray, tan, or brown in color. And the spores can also have a color like the whitish gray or pwedeng black, may lilac, lavender. And we term the spore print. Once they landed on the surface, upon injected na, they create sort of a print. So that gives you an idea how the spores are formed dun sa lamellae. Okay, so the stem can be bunched, meaning they can be grouped, or the presence of the stem can be in fascicles. They can be short or long. They can be wide or very slim. But nevertheless, the slimness of the stem, masusurprise kayo, merong malaking nakapatong na cap doon. Okay, then the cap can be characterized as a convex, semicircular to fan shape, overlapping in a large bunches. Cap color may range from tan to brown to white, okay, off-white, grayish, gray-blue, pero wala dito sa Pilipinas noon, mushroom, oyster mushroom na yon, can be golden brown or yellow or even pink. May pink na oyster mushroom class, but they are not raised here in our country yet. So you now go to the oyster production. So the preparations for the oyster production calls for the availability of the starter or the mother culture. The second is the spawn preparation, and the third is the fruit bag generation. For my part, I'll only be discussing the starter preparation, and the rest of the activities or preparations will be touched on by Miss Priscilla Herschel. So for the starter preparation, we have these things outlined for you. The materials will be mentioned here. The agar medium preparation, obtaining tissues, where to, how to, and the ultimate objective is to come up with the pure culture of your starter. For materials, we have the following. Okay, ito mga nakabuo pa to, katulad ng dextrose, ng agar. Pero if you purchase that, they can be used in a very long time already. And if you can also have alternative, for example, for the agar, like the ordinary gulaman, you also use that, but it takes time for it to be melted down. But nevertheless, if you want to save in your preparation for the medium, then you may utilize the alternative resources. So we have the distilled water. Kung wala kayo ng distilling apparatus, pwede yung mga, mahirap magsabi ng brand, pero mayroong mga distilled water available in the market. Then we have the agar, we have the dextrose, we have the flask serving as the container for the solution after sterilization of the extract or the mixture. Then we have the Petri plates as well. If we want to dispense the sterilized medium onto the place, then we have the cotton plugs, then the draft papers and rubber bands. The potato is very important, hindi pwede mawala, as the number one ingredient in preparing the medium. And of course, test tube as well. You can dispense your extract to the prepared pre-aerator and test tubes if you want to preserve them longer in lower temperature or in the refrigerator. Okay, next one. Okay, PDA is the medium utilized for the medium utilized rather in preserving or even from a start of isolating the tissue ng mushroom. The composition is the following: potatoes, 200 grams, dextrose, 20 grams, agar, 20 grams, and distilled water, 1,000 ml. So this proportion is for the preparation of a liter of PDA. Okay, step 1. So weigh 200 grams of potatoes. Yung iba, ginagawa nila, yung linis muna bago mag-weigh. So, depending on your convenience on how to go about. Sabi nga nila, this is just for beginners. For the mastery of the techniques and the steps and methodologies depends on you. You can opt this, you can use this, you can perhaps to have a less expensive materials, you may also utilize them. So the best teacher, of course, is yourself. Okay, the step 2 now is to clean potatoes under running water to remove those dirt. Step 3, okay, cut the potatoes into thin slices. Some prepare just quadrats, 4 na hati. Well, some prefer those very thin slices to probably, the purpose of which is mas madali siyang magsusoften. Okay, but I think in terms of getting nutrients from the potatoes or the extracts, wala naman siyang masyadong bearing. Okay, after boiling that, don't throw away. You can eat that. Sabi nga nila, pag kinain niyo yung patatas, mas gaganda kayo at mas popogi pa. Okay, so don't throw away those boiled potatoes. Okay, ginagawa namin yun. Kinakain namin. Pero walang effect. Sorry. So, step 4, put a liter of distilled water. So, dapat gamitin nyo distilled water. No? If you, for example, it's not available for you to utilize, okay, so iba kasi ang distilled water, you get rid some of the minerals that may probably hold back the growth of your mushroom. Okay, so 1 liter muna yung nilagay nila. Talagang, kumbaga, yun yung piprepare ko. Pero through time of boiling and other things, magle-lessen yung 1 liter. So you have to also take note of that to account for the total volume that you are preparing. Okay, next slide. Okay, step 5 is boil the potatoes until slightly soft. As in boiling talaga. Pero kung gusto nyo magtipid, pag nag-boil na ng 100, i-lower na yung adjustment ng flame. Okay. Okay, next one. So to gauge for the softness or degree of softness ng potatoes, piniprick siya. Para makita nyo lang, pwede na to. Okay na to. Kumbaga hindi mushy masyado yung potatoes nyo. Step 6, strain the extract onto a graduated cylinder. Meron kayong funnel and then yung cloth. Okay. So add additional distilled water to complete the 1 liter preparation. Step 7, pour the extract onto the double boiler. O bakit double boiler? Nung tayo naglaga nung patatas, kitang-kita natin, isa lang naman yun. Ay bakit ngayon? Kailangan natin double boiler. Okay, there's a reason for using the double boiler because you'll be adding other ingredients, particularly the agar. Ayaw nating masunog or mag-char yung agar natin. So a slow release of the agar into the casserole and the continuous stirring, you will have a very nice preparation of your PDA. Add dextrose while continuously stirring. Add the agar slowly and in small quantities. Kasi pag binuhos nyo bigla yan, maglalamp yan. So it's recommended that you try to release the agar very, very slowly while you are continuously stirring the mixture. Step number 10, cook until the mixture is clear. And to gauge that, ano na siya, yung pagluto na yung agar nyo, malinaw na yung mixture nyo, yung PDA nyo. And then if you're using any stirrer, halimbawa spatula or kutsara or yung glass rod na pinakita dyan, pag nilift nyo yun, ay wala na nakastick na agar. So that means your medium is already clear and the agar already melted down. Okay, step 11. We are now ready to dispense the prepared PDA onto certain desired glasswares. So, pwedeng yung talagang mga flask, pwede naman utilize nyo rin yung mga yung Gatorade. Kasi pag in-sterilize siya, it won't break. Pwede nyo mga ketchup bottle. So, any thing na pag na-sterilize nyo in the next step will not be broken. Okay, so hindi necessarily yung mga flasks or yung katulad nito. Okay. So step 12, more than half-filled flask with PDA ready for placing the cover. That means you plug in the cotton plugs, place the paper, and seal with rubber band. Okay, so put cotton plugs prior to sterilization. Cover the cotton plugs with draft and seal with the rubber band. Okay, this is the step for you're now ready to sterilize your prepared PDA. So meron kayong sterilizer, and usually the temperature is 121 degrees centigrade and the pressure created within is 121 PSI, sorry. Okay, the sterilization will be for regular holding of the gauge into the 15 PSI for about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, now we go to the isolation by the tissue culture. So this is the technique done to isolate, or meaning get a tissue from the mushroom and transfer it to your prepared agar medium. But before that, dispense first your prepared PDA onto the sterile plate. Use, of course, the sterile plate. So everything from here on, the methodology or the things that should be done or the procedure that should be done should be aseptically done, meaning we preserve cleanliness in our surrounding. So if you don't have the laminar flow, you can provide probably a wooden box where only your fingers and the sliding side door to place all your materials. And prior to that, using the chamber, you can spray it with disinfectant. Okay, so obtain an oyster mushroom from a growing farm. Of course, you note which type of mushroom is that or which species of oyster. And then choose, ito importante rin, if you can choose a mushroom that has a very big cap and a very big stem. Okay, this has bearing on the number of tissues that you can generate or isolate from that mushroom. So make a tier. Paghihiwalay nyo ngayon from the top, vertically starting from the center of the cup, pulling sideways continuously down to the bottom of the stalk. So meaning, pagka na-tier na yun doon, dalawa na yung available set of tissues where you can get for your isolation work. Okay, next one, please. Okay, expose the clean tissues as so. So kita natin, no, nahiwalay na sila, dalawa. Pwedeng kumuha dun sa isang side, pwedeng kumuha rin ng tissue sa kabilang side. Okay, heat the scalpel under the flame, again, to protect your, to prevent any contaminants or dirt that will stick into the blade. Okay, after heating it up, cool it down first. Don't touch directly yet. Let it cool down, baka mamatay yung tissue. Then cut the tissues between the cup and the stalk. Okay, ito meron tong importansya. Bakit cup and stalk? Pwede naman tayong kumuha dun sa cup, di ba? Pwede naman kumuha dun sa stem. Bakit in between nung tissue ng cup at saka ng stalk? Okay, napag-aralan to, and they found out that more active tissues are present dun sa between the cap and the stalk. And if you notice, after getting those tissues, presumably a healthy one, walang contamination. So you don't have to disinfect the tissues prior to placing them onto the Petri plates. Just be very careful. Once you touch your scalpel into another material or something, hit again your scalpel and then let it cool down before getting the tissue. Okay, to get the tissue, you may use forceps or even the scalpel if you're comfortable in using it. Get it from the tissue or portion of the tissue and then plug it onto the plated PDA. And then later, after incubating the tissue for about 3 to 5 weeks or even less, depending on the active mycelia of the oyster mushroom, ganyan na kaganda ang makukuha nyo. Okay, if you observe any off-growth or contaminants within the plate, you can still get a portion of the radiating mycelia from any part of the culture and transfer it to another plate, or transfer it to test tube with the containing the PDA slants for the purpose of storing them much better than storing the plates na medyo mas exposed yung kanyang surrounding ng plates, okay? Unlike the test tubes. Okay, so I hope you enjoy the step-by-step procedure for the isolation of the oyster mushroom. And for this time, we will give to you another speaker that will talk on another parts of this webinar presentation. Thank you.
Ayan. Maraming salamat po. Para po sa ating mga ka-web freshers, paalala lang po muli, kung meron po tayong mga katanungan, ay wag po tayong mahihiyang ilagay ito sa Q&A tab para sa mga nasa Zoom at sa comment section naman po para sa mga nanonood sa YouTube at Facebook. Para naman po sa preparation ng spawn at fruiting bag, narito naman po si Ma'am Presi Barcial.
Maraming salamat, Ruden, at maganda pong umaga po sa ating lahat. Napakinggan po natin si Ma'am Tess ng kanyang ibinahagi tungkol sa kabute at kung paano magagawa ng starter culture. Ngayon naman po ay aking tatalakayin ang tungkol sa paggagawa ng binhi o ng spawn gamit ang buto ng sorghum. Tatalakayin ko rin kung paano gumawa ng mushroom fruiting bag. Share screen. So, ano ba ang ating gagawin kung gagawa tayo ng green spawn? So, ano ang mga materials na ating kakailanganin? So, dito po ay kinakailangan natin ang kahit alin sa mga cereal seeds na ito, cereal grain seeds na ito. Sorghum, rye, millet, wheat, cracked corn, at palay. Gagamit din po tayo ng bote na tulad ng lapad o kaya ketchup bottles or bote ng Gatorade at ang mga ito po ay pwede nating makuha sa junk shop. Gagamit din tayo ng waste, cotton waste or cotton plug, malinis na sheet ng papel para sa pagbalot natin sa cotton plug, Manila paper, malinis na dyaryo para po ma-blot dry natin ang buto ng sorghum after nating maluto. Kailangan din natin ang rubber band. At dahil ilalaga natin o lulutuin natin ang buto ng sorghum, kailangan natin ng kasirola at saka tubig. So ito po yung pinaka-main materials na kailangan natin para sa paggagawa ng green spawn. So bote, cotton plug, ito po yung papel na itataklob natin dito at saka rubber band at syempre ang sorghum seeds. So sa paggawa po natin ay ang gagamitin natin ay ang sorghum seeds. Una, paano natin gagawin? Una, kinakailangan natin hugasan yung buto ng sorghum para malinis ang buto na ating iluluto. Madidiscard ito sa pamamagitan ng pag-alis ng lahat ng lumulutang at yun pang ibang mga dumi na kasama ng buto ng sorghum ng ating binili ay maaalis din. So lulutuin natin siya, ilalagay sa kasirola at ating pakukuluan sa loob ng 20 to 25 minutes. So kung tayo gagamit ng ibang klase ng buto, ito naman po ang recommended time. So kung gagamit tayo ng sorghum at wheat, kailangan natin ang 20 to 25 minutes na pagpapakulo. Kung palay, 45 minutes. Kung cracked corn or millet, 3 to 5 minutes. At pagkatapos po ng 20 to 25 minutes, strain natin po yung buto. So, makukuha natin ng buto, maiipon natin siya sa strainer at maalis natin yung tubig. Pagkatapos na ma-strain ang buto, nilutong buto ng sorghum, ay spread naman natin po siya sa malinis na dyaryo o kaya sa Manila paper. At ito po, ano ba ang use ng papel? Kailangan po ma-absorb niya yung excess water na nadodoon sa nilagaan nating buto ng sorghum. Pagkatapos na matuyo, ma-blot dry ang excess na tubig, ay atin pong itatransfer ang nalutong buto ng sorghum sa loob sa bote. So gagamit nga tayo na nabanggit ko kanina, pwedeng ketchup bottles, Gatorade bottles, or pote ng lapad. At ang bote ay ipa-plug natin pagkatapos nating malagyan ng 3/4 full ng nilutong sorghum grain, ay ating pa-plug ng cotton plug or cotton waste kung meron. Tapos ito ay lalagyan natin ng tatakloban natin ng papel at isi-secure natin ng rubber band. So, ito po ang itsura ng bote na nalagyan ng 3/4 full ng sorghum grains at ito po ay ready na para sa ating sterilization. So ang mga boteng ito ay ilalagay natin sa pressure cooker or autoclave at ating sterilize sa loob ng 45 minutes hanggang 1 oras sa setting na 121 degrees centigrade. So makikita po natin yan sa gauge ng ating pressure cooker. Ito po. At sa 15 PSI or 15 pounds per square inch pressure. So, after na ma-sterilize, ang ating pong sterilized grains ay kinakailangan nating pabayaang lumamig. At ito po ay ilalagay natin sa loob. Pagka malamig na, ay atin na pong ready na po ito para sa paglalagay or pag-inoculate ng starter culture. Ang starter cultures, ang ating sterilized grains pala, at saka yung ating starter culture, ay ating ilalagay sa loob ng laminar flow or sa loob ng transfer chamber. At ito pong transfer chamber na ito ay dapat na malinis. No? So bago natin ilagay or i-cut yung starter culture, kinakailangan po nating i-flame yung ating needle na gagamitin sa alcohol lamp bago natin makuha yung inoculum para po aseptic or maiwasan natin ang kontaminasyon. So dito po, ikakat na natin ang ating mycelial plug at pagkatapos ay ating i-open ang ating bote, aalisin natin yung takip na papel at saka cotton plug at pagkatapos ay ilalagay natin yung mycelial plug sa loob. Bago po natin ilagay ang mycelial plug sa loob, ito pong mycelial plug ay yung hinat natin na agar dito sa tubo ng ating starter culture. Kinakailangan po natin na, dahil kinakailangan na aseptic, kinakailangan po natin painitan itong bibig ng bote sa ating alcohol lamp. Pagkatapos, ilalagay na natin yung ating starter culture. So ito po ang itsura. At pagkatapos na mailagay natin ng starter culture, ay tatakloban natin, ibabalik po natin yung taklob niya na cotton plug at lalagyan po natin ng balot na papel secured ng rubber band. So ito na po ang itsura. ito po ang itsura ng ating inoculated na sorghum grains. At ito po ay ating i-incubate sa loob ng 14 to 21 days. At 3 days after ng inoculation, makikita po natin na may tubo na ng puting mycelia. Ito po yung starter culture natin, so tumutubo na po siya ng paunti-unti. At pagkatapos po ng incubation na 21 days, makikita po natin ang ating bote ay puti na at sakop na ng mycelia ang ating sorghum grains. So ito po ang ating tinatawag na grain spawn. So ito ang ating gagamitin upang ating itanim doon sa ating fruiting bags. So ready na ba kayo para doon sa ating paghahanda ng ating fruiting bags? So pakinggan po natin ang susunod na ito. Okay. So ano naman ang mga kailangan natin para makagawa tayo ng fruiting bags? So ito po ang substrate materials na kinakailangan at ito po ay para sa sawdust basic substrate materials. So kinakailangan natin ng sawdust, rice bran, brown sugar, agricultural lime or apok, at tubig. Ang sawdust po ay 78%, ang rice bran ay 20%, ang sugar ay 1% at ang agricultural lime ay 1%. Ang tubig po natin ay kinakailangan 60 to 65% lang at ito po ay approximately 1.5 liters per kilogram of dry sawdust. So kung paano natin makukompute ito? So kung gagamit tayo ng 100 kilos, so 78 kilos ang sawdust, 20 kilos ang rice bran, at ang brown sugar at saka agricultural lime ay 1% lang. So paano natin gagawin ang substrate para sa ating fruiting bag? So ito po is, una natin ilalagay ang sawdust, and then susunod ang rice bran, susunod ang brown sugar at saka lime. Pagkatapos nito ay atin po siyang imimix thoroughly, at pagkatapos na mamix thoroughly ay lalagyan natin ng tubig. So atin din pong imimix yung ating substrate na binasa. At ito pong ating substrate na binasa ay hindi dapat masyadong tuyo or masyado ring basa, no? Yung basang-basa. So paano natin matetest kung tama na ba ang dami ng tubig na nailagay natin sa ating substrate? So meron po tayong tinatawag na pump test method at ito po ay ginagawa upang ma-check ang pagkabasa ng substrate pagkatapos na maidagdag natin ang tubig at ma-mix yung ating substrate. So kukuha tayo ng konti, no, ng substrate at ito po ay ating squeeze sa ating palm, sa ating kamay, ating kikipilin, at pagbukas ng ating kamay, yun pong substrate ay mag-form ng parang bola or maliit na bola. At ngayon, kung wala pong tubig na tumutulo sa pagitan nating mga daliri, ibig sabihin, ang pagkabasa ng ating substrate ay tama na. So the dampness is enough. Okay, so nabasa na natin, na-mix na natin. So ngayon naman ang ating substrate ay ready na for composting or fermenting. So anong gagawin natin sa fermentation? Ipapile po natin ang ating mix na substrate at ito po ay parang i-form natin na isang tumpok at pagkatapos maitumpok or yun pong tinatawag na conical shape, kokobera natin ng plastic sheet or any available material. Tulad, pwede po nating magamit ang tarpaulin, yung use na tarpaulin, no? At pagkatapos, ito ay i-incubate natin sa loob ng 15 to 21 days. Pero, in between, doon sa loob ng 15 to 21 days, ay meron tayong 2 to 3 days na every 2 to 3 days ay dapat ating hahaluin yung ating substrate na fine-ferment or kinocompose. So ganito po ang itsura ng incubation ng ating fermented na substrate. So tinatakloban natin siya ng plastic at pagkatapos ay dinadagan na natin yung mga paligid nitong hip ng pampabigat upang ang plastic ay hindi malipad kung ito ay magkaroon ng malakas na hangin sa paligid. Okay, so after 15 to 21 days, ito na po ang itsura ng ating fermented substrate at ito po ay ready na for bagging. Pero bago po tayo mag-bag ng ating substrate, ay kinakailangan po nating munang haluin itong ating na-ferment na substrate na gagamitin natin sa ating fruiting bag. So ano-ano ang mga materyales na kailangan? So itong fermented substrate, plastic bag or polypropylene bag na 6 by 12 inches at may thickness na 0.2 to 0.3 millimeters. Kailangan din po natin ng cotton plugs, PVC ring, clean sheet of paper, hindi po wala po siya dito, at saka rubber band. So lagi po siya tayong merong malinis na papel at saka rubber band na ginagamit natin pangtakip sa bunganga ng ating bag. So ito na po. So hinahalo natin yung ating fermented substrate. Tapos ilalagay natin sa plastic bag at atin po siyang i-compact, no? Or i-compress yung bag. Dapat po ay compressed na maigi or compacted yung ating substrate na nakalagay sa plastic bag. At dahil po yung sa side, no? Dalawang sides po ay merong nakaultaw na plastic. Ito po ay inilalagay sa ipinapaloob para mas maganda namang tingnan. Okay, pagkatapos nating malagyan ang ating plastic bag, lalagyan natin ng PVC ring na tinatawag nating PVC neck. Pagkatapos ay lalagyan natin or i-cover natin ng cotton plug or cotton waste. So ito na po siya. At pagkatapos ay lalagyan natin ng takip na papel na secured ng rubber band. So kaya po kinakailangan lagi tayo na meron tayong malinis na papel na kasama or dala-dala. So ngayon, ang susunod na step ay ang pag-sterilize ng ating fruiting bag. So ilalagay natin siya sa pressure cooker or sa autoclave at i-sterilize sa loob ng 1.5 hanggang 2 oras at same ang setting 121 degrees centigrade sa loob ng 15 psi na pressure. Pagkatapos ng 2 oras ay aalisin natin or hahanguin natin ang ating bags at atin pong papabayaan na lumamig at pagkatapos ay dadalhin na natin sa ating inoculation room or inoculation chamber. Itong ating inoculation chamber dapat po laging malinis at dahil ito ay inoculate natin ng ating spawn or buto or binhi, kinakailangan ang ating inoculation ay aseptic or malinis so that wala po tayong infection na hindi tayo makaka-experience ng infection. So, ito po ang itsura ng malinis na natin na lamesa kung saan tayo magsasagawa ng pag-inoculate sa ating fruiting bag. Una ay, so gagamit tayo ng transfer needle. So, bago po natin gamitin tong transfer needle ay ito po ay i-flame, no, sa ating alcohol lamp. Aalisin natin yung cover na papel at saka cotton plug. Tapos i-flame din po natin tong bibig ng bote. At pagkatapos ay ating sasaksakin or ilulusen yung inoculum kasi sila ay compact na sa loob pagkatapos ng incubation period ng ating spoon. At pagkatapos bubuksan natin yung ating fruiting bag at ibubuhusan natin ng buto, no, ng sorghum kung saan mayroong tumutubong mycelia. At pagkatapos na malagyan natin ng spoon or grain spoon yung ating fruiting bag, ay incubate naman natin ang ating spoon bags sa isang dry at saka well-ventilated room for at least 30 to 45 days. At pagkatapos makikita natin or ma-observe natin ang puting mycelium na unti-unting tutubo at mag-fill sa bags in 20 to 30 days. So ito po ang itsura ng ating fruiting bag na kinocover na ng white mycelium ng ating oyster mushroom. Ang inoculated bags ay pwede din pong i-pile, no? Kung ready na for fruiting, ipapile natin or incubated directly in a growing house provided that the house remains dry to attain the required incubation period. Okay. Sa fruiting and development naman po ng ating oyster mushroom, ang requirement ay ang temperature ay 20 to 28 degrees centigrade, merong ventilation, medyo may light but not under direct sunlight, at ang relative humidity na nag-exist within the mushroom house ay 80 to 85%. Okay. So sa fruiting po, yung oyster mushroom, ang mga tinatawag kong pins, no, ay nagsisimulang mag-emerge from the holes in the bag. So dapat merong butas. So ang ginagawa po ay binubuksan yung bunganga, no, ng bag. And these tiny pins then rapidly grow and develop into full-size mushrooms in just 5 to 7 days. Imagine, ang bilis, 5 to 7 days lang, meron ka ng full-size na mushroom na makikita. So ganyan po siya. So pag ganito na po ang stage ng ating mushroom, ito po ay ready na for harvest. So ito po ang ilang importanteng puntos na dapat nating tandaan sa pagpapatubo ng oyster mushroom. So kinakailangan pong tanggalin yung cotton plug kasi doon po lalabas na unang-una ang mushroom. Ang fruiting bodies start to grow 3 to 5 days after opening or slitting the fruiting bags. At ang oyster mushrooms ay ready to harvest just 7 days after starting to grow sa bag. At ang crop ng mushrooms can be harvested 3 times before the mycelium becomes exhausted. At with a new crop of mushroom manifesting every 7 to 14 days during this time. So ang dami ng ating harvest, no? Harvest time. And it takes about 5 to 8 weeks to grow 3 crops of oyster mushrooms, and all this can be done with minimal equipment and expertise. So kinakailangan din po natin na mag-spray regularly sa ating mushroom house para ma-maintain ang relative humidity, pero hindi po natin dapat na-sprayan ang tubong kabute ng diretsyo, especially po yung mga pins kasi po mabubulok pag na-sprayan ng tubig. You can also wet the floor or leave inside the house open containers filled with water. Spray water to control humidity in mushroom houses. So, yun pag leave ng tubig sa loob ng mushroom house ay nagme-maintain ng relative humidity na kinakailangan ng ating kabute para tumubo. So, kinakailangan po nating mag-spray water often but not much each time. No water should enter the bag. So hindi po dapat mapasukan ng tubig yung bag, fruiting bag, kasi po mabubulok. And humidity should not be more than 90% but not less than 75%. So kinakailangan po na we provide moisture through daily watering of the mushroom house, and to lower the temperature and hasten the fruiting, spray the mushroom house if the temperature is more than 28 degrees centigrade. So yan lang po ang aking maisa-share sa inyo tungkol po sa paggagawa ng mushroom spoon at ng fruiting bag. Sana po ay meron kayong napulot dito sa aking maiksing talk. Marami pong salamat at sana po tayo ay laging malusog at ligtas.
Ayan, maraming salamat po Ma'am Tess and Ma'am Presi. Nabigyan tayo ng dagdag kaalaman sa mga mushroom o kabute bilang isang buhay na organismo. Ano nga ba ang mga oyster mushroom at paano sila paramihin? Tunay pong maraming kailangang ihanda at matutunan sa pagpaparami ng oyster mushroom. Ngunit kung sasamahan natin ng pagsisikap at sigasig sa pagnenegosyo, ay di malayong mapagtatagumpayan natin ang pagpaparami ng oyster mushroom. Bago po natin simulan talakayin ang inyong mga katanungan, isang paalala po muli na para makakuha ng e-certificate for attending this webinar, pakisagutan po muna ang ating evaluation form at pati na rin ang post-test na makakatulong sa amin para mas pagandahin pa ang aming programa na handog sa inyo. Also, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our College of Agriculture and Food Science YouTube channel. You can also follow us in our official CAPS and iWeb Facebook pages. So mga ka-web freshers, bago tayo dumako sa pagsagot ng inyong mga katanungan, ay narito muna ang isang trivia. Alam nyo ba na kung healthy and slim ang isa sa inyong goals ngayong 2021, ay napakagandang isama sa inyong diet ang oyster mushroom. Bakit? Ito ay dahil ang oyster mushroom ay mababa sa calories, ngunit mataas sa fiber, proteins, and other antioxidants. Para sa mga kailangang umiwas sa kolesterol, ang kabute na ito ay cholesterol-free. Higit sa lahat, ito ay masarap at napakadaling ihalo sa iba't ibang uri ng luto. At this point, dumako na po tayo sa pagsagot ng inyong mga katanungan. We have Professor Romnick A. Latina to relay your questions sa ating speakers. And also Ma'am Jenny Lugrande and Sir Bethany Macasero and Miss Annabel Albaitar to check your questions posted sa Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. Sir Nick, take it away.
Okay, thank you very much, Sir Ruden. Hello, magandang umaga po, Ma'am Tess and Ma'am Presi at sa ating mga ka-webinar today from all over the country. Nakakagutom po yung mga oyster mushroom na pinakita nyo kanina. Tapos super healthy pa. Anyway, so let's go now po sa ating questions. Now we have our first question po from Mr. Eric John Hinayon. Good morning, ma'am. Ano po ang ibig sabihin ng double boiler? At pwede po ba natin gamitin ang regular pressure cooker for sterilization? Thank you po.
Okay, ang double boiler na sinasabi, imagine niyo muna yung halimbawa nagpe-prepare kayo ng leche flan. Okay? And then, bago lagay dun sa na-prepare yun na mixture, dun sa lalagyan na ay nilalagyan ninyo ng sugar, diba? Para on top, pag naluto, tinaob nyo yun, meron siyang, kumbaga, syrup na sugar. Okay, so nilagay nyo halimbawa yung sugar na yun sa lagayan, yung hulmahan, ano. And then, di ba, pinapatong sa kalan or medyo ino-orient siya na para matunaw yung sugar. Okay, kung ang sugar na yan, pabayaan nyo talaga na under the flame ng kalan nyo, eh di ba parang masusunog na siya? Or parang, teka, ba't parang sunog na yata, nangitim na? So, ganun yung parang naging prinsipyo kung bakit double boiler ang ginagamit. Ang double boiler eh, halimbawa meron kang isang kaserola, meron pa sa ilalim na ipinapatong dun sa isang kaserola din. And then yung pinaka-bottom na kaserola, nilalagyan ng tubig. So, pag nilagay mo yung dalawang patong na yun ng magkapatong na kaserola dun sa flame, magbo-boil lang yung water dun sa pinaka-bottom na kasirola, and then mahi-heat up through the steam yung nasa top na kasirola na naandun yung mixture nyo. So pag nilagay nyo yung mga ibang ingredients na katulad ng agar or agar, hindi siya masusunog. Ayun ang prinsipyo ng paggamit ng double boiler. Okay, yung sunod na tanong ni Eric dyan, yung paggamit ng ordinary sterilizer. Kung ang quantity mo ay kaunti lang, parang depende sa purpose. Kasi kung gagawa ka ng kakaunti, hindi sufficient na kumbaga yung ordinary, yung pressure cooker lang na panglambot ng mga, alam nyo na, ng mga ating karne-karne, hindi kakayanin na maka-accommodate ng marami yung pressure cooker na yon. At saka yung time allotted para makontrol nyo yung contamination or pagkakaroon ng ibang mikrobyo doon sa mga pinipare nyo na PDA, substrate, or yung mga para sa spawn, baka hindi akma sa tagal, hindi nyo pa alam, nag-gauge talaga yung pressure doon at saka yung temperature. So, hindi lang man ibig sabihin yung napaka-sophisticated na sterilizer or pressure cooker, yung pinakita kanina, pwede na mapagbaramihan na lalo yung production nyo, lalo sa fruiting bags, pwede kayong gumamit ng drum na nakasalang sa mga kahoy-kahoy. So sabi nga natin, start with something very small siguro para matutunan nyo muna yung mga principle behind at saka yung mga technique at saka yung adjustment na gagawin nyo bago kayo mag-shift probably sa a bigger production ng inyong mga preparations. And then may isa pang tanong dito ay ano nga ba? Hindi ko makita. Sorry Rombic.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Hindi ko ano nga ba yung isang tanong na taga Cagayan ba yun?
Ma'am, siguro po yung from
Ariela.
President Ramon Magsaysay State University.
Ay, sa Bulbariela ba yan?
Can these procedures also be utilized for the production of Bulbariela?
Dito Presi, ako na muna ang sagot. Ako na.
Sandali na lang ako, Ma'am Tess.
Sige. So yung production ng Bulbariela against sa production ng oyster mushroom, iba kasi yung requirements. Number one, yung temperatura. Ang nangyayari within a year period, kasi yung Bulbariela, gusto niya yung mainit. Ito namang oyster, ay gusto ko yung medyo malamig at medyo nag-uulan. Yun na requirement niya na kapaligiran niya. So ang nangyayari, yung ibang growers, nagsishift from oyster pag malamig ang panahon and then Bulbariela naman sa another state of the time or months. Yun ang ginagawa nila. Okay, ibang-iba din ang pag-practice ng production ng Bulbariela and oyster. Yung Bulbariela, siya ay open. Kung ikaw ay walang sophisticated growing house for Bulbariela na nakapile up into parang cabinet, yung lay down na substrate, open. Sa open area, ginagawa yung mushroom bed. At saka kalimitan, hindi siya binabag, but more of yung parang nakalatag na substrate. Okay? So yung substrate na yan, pwedeng ma-utilize nyo yung dried banana leaves na nakalaylay sa puno, pwede nyo rin ma-utilize yung mga rice straw, at saka mga water lilies. So depende sa availability ng substrate dun sa area nyo. Pero yun nga nabanggit ko, iba yung requirement ng Bulbariela na straw mushroom or paddy rice mushroom kaysa sa requirement for growing na oyster mushroom. So maraming kailangan i-consider ng mga iba-ibang informasyon. Thank you.
Okay po. Thank you, Ma'am Tess. I think this is for Ma'am Presi. Pwede po bang gamitin, this is from Facebook, pwede po bang gamitin ang pinag-anihan ng palay sa paggawa ng fruiting bag?
Okay, I think ang nire-refer dyan ay yung rice straw. So, sa paggawa ng fruiting bag, sa preparation ng fruiting bag para sa oyster mushroom, pwedeng gamitin ang rice straw. Kaya lang, may additional pang step na kinakailangan. So, meron tayong composting na kinakailangan gawin. Iko-compost mo muna yung rice straw ng ilang araw, tapos idadaan pa ito sa parang tatadtarin mo ng pino. Kasi remember, sa paglalagay mo sa fruiting bag, makita niyo yung sawdust at saka rice bran mixture. Pinong-pino yun. Ikinocompact. So, kinakailangan na ikakat mo ng maliliit yung rice straw para siya magamit na sa fruiting bag ng oyster mushroom. Pwedeng gamitin. Kasi itong rice straw ay, sa mga nagtatanim ng palay, ito ay waste. So itong waste na ito na rice straw ay pwede natin pakinabangan. So yun lang. Thank you.
Okay po. Thank you, Ma'am Presi. Related po sa fruiting bag, ilang beses daw po pwede gamitin ang fruiting bag? This I think is from Facebook too.
Kasi ang fruiting bag, correct me if I'm wrong, Ma'am Tess, isang cycle lang siya, no? Na kung ilang buwan habang may bunga, natin pwedeng kuhanan ng bunga yung fruiting bag na nilagyan natin ng spoon. But then, sabi nga ni Ma'am Tess, yung ating fruiting bag na nagamit na ay madami pa nating pwedeng paggamitan. Di ba, Ma'am Tess?
Oo, meron pa.
So yun, may other uses pa aside from pagkuha ng bunga ng mushroom pagkatapos ng mushroom production. No? Yung fruiting bag, fruiting na portion ng mushroom.
Okay po, thank you. Another question for related ulit sa fruiting bag. So maraming interested.
Yatang question sa akin
If ever daw po walang, this is from LJ Borja from Zoom, if ever po walang double broiler at gagamit ng usual na kaldero, mga ilang oras po dapat nakasalang para sa sterilization ng fruiting bag?
Una, ganito yon, no? Remember, ang ating fruiting bag ay may parang sabihin natin na 10 inches, no? So kung gagamit ka ng kaldero, dapat yung 10 inches na height ng iyong fruiting bag ay kasya dun sa kaldero. Tapos may tubig pa yan sa ilalim kasi steam ang mag-sterilize. So parang sa tingin ko, unless ang kaldero mo ay napakalaki, that's the only time na pwede mong gamitin. At tapos medyo matagal-tagal ang pag-sterilize ng fruiting bag kung gagamit ka ng kaldero. So doon sa sinasabi ni Ma'am Tess kanina na gagamit tayo ng drum, no? Yung drum na metal, medyo matagal, parang 6 to 8 hours, no? Ito naman, ang laman naman ng isang drum, if I'm not mistaken, is parang mahigit 50 piraso ng fruiting bags ang nakalagay doon. So dahil nga steam ang magluluto, lalagyan mo ng tubig sa ilalim, no? Kasi kung hindi, ang mangyayari niyan masusunog yung plastic, tatapon yung substrate na nakalagay doon sa bag. So pwedeng kaldero kung malaki ang kaldero gagamitin, pero ilang piraso lang. So ito sigurong kaldero kung wala kang pressure cooker, is pwedeng gamitin kung for household consumption lang. Hindi ito yung pang commercial production. Tama ba, Ma'am Tess? Okay, tama daw. Thank you.
Ma'am Tess, thank you, Ma'am Presi. There's a very interesting question here. And I think this is for you. Marami pong nagsasabi na yung mga may rayuma ay di dapat kumain ng mushroom upang di sumakit yung paa. Lahat po ba ng uri ng mushroom ay pare-pareho ang nutrient content or itong oyster mushroom is different from the other mushrooms po? This is from Sisima P. La Vega sa Facebook.
Okay, magandang tanong yan kasi ako mismo meron ding konting nararamdaman na sa kasukasuan eh. Okay. So ang mushrooms ay iba-iba ang nutritional content or values. So merong mushroom na fleshy muna tayo, no? So miski ma-fleshy yan pala or woody mushroom, iba-iba rin yung talagang kanyang nutritive values. So hindi lahat ng mushroom ay pag kumain ka ng isa magiging bawal ka na sa lahat ng mushroom. So ang maganda is malaman din natin through mga information kung ano ang nutritional value noon na sa tingin natin is mas advantageous sa ating pangangatawan. At saka yung alamin din natin kung yung availability syempre ng ganong klaseng mushroom dahil hindi naman lahat ito ay nire-raise sa Pilipinas. So meron namang extract din through the woody mushroom na nakagaganda din ng kondisyon sa katawan. So depende uli sa klase ng mushroom na i-utilize natin for extract or for eating or preparation sa ating food. Pero so far naman, mahilig ako sa oyster. Kasi bumibili lang ako dun sa vegetable section. Medyo okay naman, di naman siya. Bali yung dalaga lang or kaya gigisa ko lang sa ang preparation. So far okay naman, hindi naman ako na napuproceed sa pananakit ng mga kasukasuan. So information is your best defense of reading a lot of information regarding the mushroom is your best defense on how to utilize which one and how to prepare them as well.
Meron din pong nagtanong regarding sa dami ng fruiting bag sa steel drum, pero meron pong tumulong na sumagot si recognize ko lang po si Mr. Mark Gregory Alovera. So for that person po na nagtatanong kung gaano daw po kadami yung ng fruiting bags ang pwedeng accommodate ng steel drum, nandyan po nakalagay 135 fruiting bags na 6 by 12. Thank you po, Sir Mark Gregory Alovera. Okay. Ito po, from Facebook ulit. I'm Miguel from TUP Manila, BS Environmental Science. Tanong ko lang po, paano po mag-harvest ng oyster mushroom?
Sa pag-harvest ng oyster mushroom, essentially yung malalaking bunga, yun ang tinatanggal. Parang anong right term ba doon? Tatanggalin mo lang talaga siya mismo.
Twist.
Oo. Yun, yung mga malalaking bunga, tinatanggal mong diretso or cut. And then, ganun lang. No? And then, pagka ipaprocess or lulutuin mo na, syempre, yung pinaka-stock, yung dulong-dulo, tatanggalan mo rin ng dulong portion kasi yun ang naka-stick doon sa ating fruiting bag.
Okay po. Meron din pong nagtatanong, may nabibili po bang spawn or starter kit?
Some suggestion ko, kung saan malapit kayo doon sa lugar, kasi merong mga university or mga agency na nag-prepare at saka nagbibili ng mga spawn. So kung okay lang mentionin din, I think ang BPI, kung malapit kayo doon sa parting sa urban or kung pupunta kayo doon sa sasadyain nyo, I think meron silang available, di ba, Tito Presi? I think. And then sa parting mga Nueva Ecija, meron din mga private practitioner na gumagawa doon or sa university. Ang siguro try nilang mag-internet o mag-source out from the internet yung mga spawn producers and starter producers. Pero ang advice ko, yung kung mag-into fruit bag production na kayo, yun na nga, maganda yung bibili na muna kayo ng spawn. Para kumbaga hindi pa siguro masyadong hasa or kasi critical din yung maganda na spawn ang mabili nyo dahil yun ang magiging ang susi nyo sa magandang pagbibigay ng flashes dun sa inyong fruiting bags.
Okay, maidagdag ko rin lang. Actually, ang dami na ng mga tao na nag-venture ngayon sa oyster mushroom production. Ako nga, member ako ng isang mushroom growing group, no? Sa oyster. At doon ako nakakakuha din ng mga karagdagang kaalaman tungkol sa pagpapatubo ng kabute. So, tama si Tess na sinasabi niya na maghanap or tumingin doon sa mga ano. But then, siguro kami sa iWeb, we will start soon. Pero ang aming siguro ipoprovide, Ma'am Tess, ay grain spawn.
Tsaka starter.
Oo, tsaka starter. Yun ang pwede namin. So, pwede nyo po kaming, in a few months, pwede nyo po kaming i-message sa aming Facebook page ng Institute of Good Science, Entomology, and Plant Pathology. Pwede po kayong mag-reach out sa amin at pwede kayong magtanong kung kailan pwede, kung meron na po ba kaming na-produce. Kasi medyo kinakailangan po namin i-test muna kung ano yung aming magandang klase, no? Kasi mahirap din naman na hindi pala productive yung naibenta. So yan po, Nick. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much po. At sa lahat po ng nagtanong, maraming salamat po. I know marami pa kayong gustong itanong sa kanila. But in the interest of time po, we'll be throwing in the last question. Ano po ang maipapayo nyo sa gusto, I think this goes for both Ma'am Tess and Ma'am Presi, ano po ang maipapayo nyo sa gustong magsimula ng mushroom production for their own consumption or for as a negosyo?
Ako muna. So, ang sabi niya, on consumption, ano? Di ba?
Opo ma'am, and negosyo na din po.
Doon muna tayo sa own consumption. Okay. So, ang advice ko is bumili na kayo ng fruiting bags.
Yes.
Doon. Para ma-appreciate nyo lang yung, ay, tumubo, matutuwa kayo. Ay, ang daming tumubo sa first flush ng aking fruiting bags. So, masterin nyo muna yung kanyang parang galamayin nyo kung paano inaalagaan yung fruiting bags. So, make sure yung bibilhan nyo ay mai-inform kayo ang step-by-step procedure para ma-initiate yung formation ng mushroom doon. Kasi dapat, kung ba nga, mayroon lang kayong 2 at 3, lagyan nyo sa timba na may nakalinyang basang tubig. Ganun. Tapos i-close nyo lang for a few days and hopefully, pag natanggal nyo na yung takip tsaka may indicator yun kung yung fruiting bags nyo ay alam nyo magbibigay na ng flash. Okay? So, tingnan nyo yung bibilhin nyo kung namumukol na sa ibabaw. Kung baga, yung ugat na malalaki. So, that means, pwede nyo nang tanggalin yun in a few days. Pag na-set up nyo ng ayos dun sa inyong parang moist chamber na simple, ay magbibigay na yung fruits. Isa pa, sorry President, isa na lang. Tip. Alam nyo ang best part of the house na pwede siyang lagay? Sa comfort room. Kasi moistened siya. O sa ilalim ng sink. Dahil nagmo-moisten din siya doon. Pero syempre, baka yung comfort room hindi okay din sa atin kasi alam nyo na kung paano ni-use. Pero yun nga, kung bakit type na lang gawin nyo. Kaya perforated tray, yung sa ibabaw, and at the bottom, you have the solid tray para malinyahan nyo ng basahan or malagyan ng water. Thank you.
So that's for home consumption.
Consumption.
So kung magbi-business ka, parang ang dami mong kinakailangang matutunan, no, na technical. Una na lamang sa paggagawa ng starter culture. So ang ipinapayo ng iba at naririnig ko din naman doon sa mga malalaking businessmen, no? Mga businessmen na talaga na they have the right, ay ang sinasabi nila is, huwag kang mag-venture doon mag-start doon sa starter culture. Bumili ka na lang ng spawn, no? Tapos ang ipoproduce mo, ikaw ang gagawa ng fruiting bags. Tapos simple lang naman kinakailangan lang ang at transferan mo ng iyong spoon doon sa iyong fruiting bag ay dapat malinis, aseptic, para wala tayong kontaminasyon. So, yung spoon, meron kang sarili mo na nagawang fruiting bag, isasalin mo lang, and then that's it. So, sa maliit na espasyo, marami na ang mailalagay mo, lalo na at ngayon, ang trend sa pag-ano ay ibinibitin yung mushroom fruiting bags, no? Sila ay one over the other, no? Piled. At ang pinaglalagyan, hindi na mga cabinets, kundi mga lubid na nylon na rope na nakasabit. So hanging ang kanilang sitwasyon. So ganun. Sa akin, I prefer, unless marunong ka talaga maggawa ng starter culture, buy the spawn, you prepare the fruiting bags, and that's it. Pwede ka na mag-business.
Okay po. Thank you very much po sa ating research speaker sa pagbabahagi ng inyong kaalaman at karanasan. Thank you, Ma'am Tess. Thank you, Ma'am Presi. Dito po nagtatapos ang ating talakayan patungkol sa oyster mushroom production. So now, back to you, Sir Roden.
Yan. So thanks, Sir Nick, at sa ating mga correspondents, Ma'am Jen, Sir Bethany, and Miss Annabel. It was indeed an interesting set of questions, but we're sorry for cutting it off already. Doon po sa mga may ilan pang katanungan, you can still put your questions on Zoom chat box or sa comment section at YouTube, and we will try to address your questions pa rin po. Sana po ay marami kayong natutunan sa umagang ito. Now, as we come closer to the end of today's webinar, narito po ang aming Deputy Director of the Institute of Weed Science, Entomology, and Plant Pathology, Prof. Bernard O. Budot, para magbigay ng kanyang closing remarks.
Thank you, Sir Roden. Isang magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Unang-una, nais ko pong pasalamatan ng ating mga resource persons, Dr. Teresita Dalisay and Ma'am Priscilla Barcial sa pagbabahagi ng kanilang mga kaalaman at mahalagang tips sa mga pamamaraan kung paano gumawa ng kabutihan. Ganon din ang aking pasasalamat sa IWEB Webinar Committee members na tumulong upang maisakatuparan ang webinar na ito and of course to the College of Agriculture and Food Science para sa pag-organize ng mga ganitong webinar na talaga namang nagbibigay tulong upang mapalawak ang kaalaman ng bawat isa sa atin, lalong-lalo na sa panahong tayo ay nakararanas ng pandemya. Bagaman ito po ang huling webinar para sa temang AGP Stock 4.0 Urban Gardening, alam ko po na hindi dito natatapos ang mga programa ng CAPS and we hope to see you soon sa mga susunod pang webinars. Once again, thank you po sa ating mga viewers all over the Philippines and stay safe.
Yan, maraming salamat po Sir Bernard. Muli, isang malaking pasasalamat sa inyo mga ka-webinar sa patuloy na pagtangkilik sa aming programa. On behalf of CAPS UPLB and IWEF, bumabati po kami ng isang magandang umaga sa ating lahat. Manatili po tayong malusog at masaya kahit sa gitna ng pandemya at magpatuloy na gumawa ng kabutihan. Hanggang sa muli, ito ang AGPS Talk Webinar Series. Maligaya at masaganang pagtatanim sa inyong lahat.